So you remember when we went to one of Perth's biggest shopping centres and tried to record the ambience of the place and miserably failed?
Okay, let's not do that. Oh, I can work with that. Oh my, are you serious? Why do I even try, honestly?
Yes, so we tried that again.
There we go. Wait, let me do a clean one of that. Let me do a clean one of that.
So I probably don't need to explain what we're doing, as it's pretty much all the same stuff we were trying to achieve last time we did this. And watching this video would give you a fair idea of where our headspace was at this time round. In fact, if you wanted, you could probably just watch this video first. Go on, I'll give you a bit of time. Okay, well, in case you didn't take the hint, essentially we wanted to record the ambience of the parking lot of the shopping centre called Garden City, one of Perth's biggest and oldest shopping centres, even though it's now owned by the Westfield Group and has been rebranded as Westfield Booragoon. Then we can use that recording to make a reverb patch that I can put on any sound or instrument that I want. Like I said last time, these people explain it way better than I ever could, so please check them out for better explanations. Not to mention their videos are really interesting, and it's what got me interested in attempting this in the first place. Alright, now that the preamble is over with, I can finally start talking about what actually happened at Westfield Booragoon.
Alright. Let's get started.
Now, the reason why our last attempt didn't go too well was because I messed up something really silly that I'll get into later, but it's got nothing to do with the actual tools we used, which means the equipment setup was essentially the same as before. Hence, cue the montage.
Did that look badass or what? I ruined it now.
For anyone that needs a catch-up since our last attempt though, and didn't take the hint to watch the first video earlier, the setup for a recording like this is essentially putting down speakers somewhere to emit a specific sound, putting down microphones a certain distance away from them to pick up a different specific sound, and plugging all of that into a computer through an interface. Choosing the exact distance is a bit of a game to find the fine line though. See, with such an open space like this, it would take a lot of time for the sound waves coming out of the speakers to go all the way to the furthest corners of the space, bounce off the walls, then come back, all the while losing sound the further it has to travel. The only way to get a loud enough reverberated sound is to emit a loud enough sound in the first place. But it's not like we asked Westfield and they were like, sure dude, whatever you want, that's mega chill. So the last thing we wanted was to play something loud that sounds like a fire alarm, draw attention to ourselves and get us in trouble. So unfortunately we had to rely on the earliest of early reflections, the reverberated sound that gets to the microphones as soon as possible. Hence why we crowded everything in the corner of the underground parking lot. But even with that general direction, we had to figure out an exact distance. Microphones that are too close to the speakers would be hearing and sampling only the raw audio sweep from the speakers, but mics too far from the speakers wouldn't be able to pick up any sound at all. Thankfully, we didn't have to worry about this fine line too much, as the longest cables I've got are only 15 meters, so there's our distance figured out. In order to power everything, we bought a power converter, essentially making it so that a car battery can safely give everything enough juice. But with these things, you always have to be careful, otherwise you might blow something, or might run your car battery dry in the middle of nowhere, or might just not be able to power everything. Part of the reason I bring this up is, well, the thing that made everything not work last time was that I misunderstood the amount of power that the converter could give out. My mate recommended it to me so that it could power the interface and power both speakers. However, what I'd so carefully forgotten was that trying to power something else, like, I don't know, maybe a MacBook charger, would cause the power converter to overload and power everything down. Oh no, did the MacBook just die? No, is the sound gone then? So now a year later, we know what we're working with, what not to do, for example, maybe not plugging in the MacBook charger, and now I have a power converter that is way over the 30-day return period and I can't get my money back on. The moral of this story is if you do anything related to this, know what you're actually doing, especially in terms of power and electricity. There are so many worse things that could have gone wrong. After plugging everything in, turning it all on and setting the project all up, we got everything working. All there was left to do was to, well, record it.
Ow, I shouldn't have done that. That was bad. All right.
Then, look, if you couldn't tell from my face here, I needed this to work. Not only did I need to make sure that everything worked right, but everything sounded good and was going to continue to sound good once we actually took it home. Otherwise, we would have just wasted yet another trip, including the time, effort, and money. Not to mention that all the while we're rapidly coming up to the deadline where we can make it out of here before they close the parking exits and we really raise suspicion. And we got it.
We got it.
We actually got it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we got it. Okay, we can start packing up.
Don't get me wrong, I'm happy. I'm over the moon, in fact. I just expected something to go wrong again, but it didn't.
Okay, we got it. We got it. Okay, all right. I gotta calm down and like actually talk. We actually got it this time. I just checked everything. I made sure that we did a check before the recording, but I also did a check after the recording. Everything sounds good. Not perfect, but you know what? We at least got it this time. We got it. It's ready. I just need to do a little bit of, I guess, processing, just making it louder. I can't put into words how excited I am. Like the whole time I was dreading that something was gonna go wrong again, and now I'm not gonna get mad at anyone because nothing went wrong. So you know what? Thank you to everyone. I'm really happy. That's it. That's all I got. Thanks, Westfield. You really delivered. Westfield isn't really a delivery place though, are they? They're like a shopping place. Thank you, Westfield. You really shopped? That doesn't make sense. Let me try again. Thank you, Westfield. You really, bought us out. No, that doesn't work either. Let me try again. Thank you, Westfield. You really gave us what we needed. No, let me try again. Thank you, Westfield.
After some quick checks to make sure whether it would work the day after, and we got the thing we've spent a year trying to get. So what did we actually get? Well, very much the same like we had originally envisioned the first time we came out here. We did 2 actual recordings. One was a mono recording, where we did a frequency sweep from both speakers, one at a time, both getting captured by our Rode NT1A microphone. After that, we did the same thing, both speakers emitting a frequency sweep one at a time, but instead being captured by 2 Shure PGA 56 mics for a stereo recording. Playing the 2 recordings back to back, the Rode recording definitely has more of a mono-centered feeling, which isn't necessarily bad, and to be honest is good for mixing purposes if you want something to stay specifically in the center of the stereo field, such as a bass, a main vocal, or if you don't want to over-affect the entire stereo field. The PGA recording, however, has that more stereo wider feel that most people would go for, and would be great for your wider instruments, such as a main vocal that you want to take the spotlight, a drum room sound, or your backing vocals. Within the 2 different microphones recordings, there's 2 types of audio files. The normalized ones, which have been loudened to appropriate levels and cut off much shorter, or the raw versions, ones that are quieter but have a much longer tail end. See how the raw version here goes for about 9 seconds, but the normalized one goes for only 3. Now if anyone knows anything about the Shure mics, it's that they're much different to the Rode mic, being a microphone that is mostly used to record a drum kit's tom drum. We purposely went this way to get as much differentiation between the 2 recordings as possible, which, in my honest opinion, we kinda achieved. One sounds more brighter and defined than the other one sounds more like you're in the actual room than the other one. They both have their strengths, and I don't really have a preference over one or the other, but you can definitely use different versions for different contexts or purposes. Well, with all of that said and done, I should probably show you what it sounds like when playing something through it. In fact, I can give you a whole performance using the convolution reverb. Feast your ears on this little tune.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Cool. Oh no, we weren't recording.
Please give a massive round of applause, or at least a nice comment, to our videographer Lucas Oliver for coming up with that. An amazing composer, if not already shown by this. And now I bet you're wondering, whoa mama, that reverb sounded pretty cool. Can I also use one of the signature sounds of Perth, something that evokes childhood memories for probably everyone south of the river? However, can I get my hands on something that sounds so, Mintox? If you click the link in the description, it's all yours. No, literally have it. I want to see people use it. All that I ask is that you credit it, so I can see how people use it, how far it's reached, if people make cool stuff with it. With that said though, I should probably mansplain how to actually use it. Well, if that's what has to be done, I don't hear any objections.
When you click the link in the description and download the folder, you'll get 4 different WAV files. One for each of the different reverb types that we ended up with. With that, you can use your own reverb plugin, such as Ableton's Convolution Reverb Pro that comes with Max for Live, drag and and drop the impulse responses in and edit as you see fit. Now be advised, not every reverb plugin allows imported IRs, so research your plugin before you buy it. This is a list of plugins that do allow imported impulse responses, but again, try before you buy. Now, for example, we've got this very simple drum pattern. I believe it is quite literally the one at the top of the clips, but this is what it sounds like just normally. Your very standard drum pattern. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to Max for Live, check out Convolution Reverb Pro, and literally just drag it on the same track. Now, Convolution Reverb Pro already has a bunch of its own reverb files, like locked and loaded, ready to go. But the cool thing is that you can use your own reverb files, drag and drop them quite literally on the wavelength part of the plugin, and it just loads them, easy as pie. Awesome, just like that. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna listen to it with the different reverbs and just find which one I like the best for this context. It's very over the top, but I think I'm gonna go with the stereo normalized one just to make it as obvious as possible. First thing that I'm gonna do is, because that stayed around for a long time, I am gonna have the fade in and the fade out be a little bit much. Probably decrease the length as well. Let's mess around with the decay and the pre-delay a little bit. Awesome, I like that much better already. Also, it looks like there's a bunch of build up in the low end, so let's take care of that and just do a little bit of mixing. Cool, already, I like that so much. I could do more mixing on it, almost definitely. I could also do less mixing on it, but it's just a very good way to like show off what you can actually do with it. So let's listen to it without, and then let's listen to it with again. Awesome. I've purposely had the dry wet like subtle to make it sound like it's a little bit more like purposefully mixed than over the top mixed, but you can still very much hear the reverb and you can hear the changes that I've made to it. And the fact that Convolution Reverb's Pro version has the drop down for like in-built mixing capabilities is why I love this plugin so much. Now instead, let's try and use a different reverb plugin just to see if we can get a bit of a comparison between the two. So I'm gonna go for Convology XT, which I might add is also very free. It's extremely free. It's a free plugin is what I'm trying to say. Let's keep Convolution Reverb Pro, but let's just mute it and minimize it. And then let's play around with Convology and see what we can get. Again, I'll just start with listening to the different reverbs and seeing which one I like best for the context, I guess. Okay, let's go with this one. Let's go with the mono normalized one. And again, let's just play around with stuff. I want to give this reverse button a try. What does that sound like? Okay, that sounds awesome. What else we got? already liking it. Yeah, I like something more like that. Now, how wide can width go? Very wide, apparently. Okay, I feel like if I were to mix that and it needed to get some down to mono, it would probably ruin it and sound bad, but it's still a very cool thing that you can do on like a reverb plugin that you can put your own reverb files into. Let's just stick in the middle with just a normal stereo. I like that very much. All right, let's do a little bit more EQing, just tame the low end a little bit. And I like that so much. All right, cool. Let's listen to the different reverb plugins and just see what we think of them. Let's listen to it without, and then with the first one, then with the second one. Okay, that sounds awesome. I definitely like how I mixed the Convolution Reverb Pro one more. I think if I was being picky, I would probably mess around with the Convology one a little bit more. Anyway, I guess that is my little tutorial on how to use the reverbs.
Well, I hope you got something out of this. I know I sure did. Hopefully you're able to make something cool with these reverbs. Maybe you're able to make your own reverb files from some other space and use it in your own piece of work. Maybe you're able to use it to enhance your own haunted house experience. A massive thanks to Lucas Oliver and Jack Riseberry, who I couldn't have done any of these attempts without. I am massively grateful. But anyway, let us know if you want to do this again, if you want us to do things slightly differently, or if you want us to record a different space altogether. I'm itching to do this again, so I will do it without hesitation. And hey, if you'd like this cool experience and you want to incorporate some crazy idea like this into the making of your next album, single, or any other musical project, you know where to hit us up. In case you don't though, check out Silly Boy Sounds. We do record production that really leans in on the fun creative aspect, so that every record is not only unique, but more importantly, a good experience that makes you enjoy making a record, not a slog that you want to get over with as soon as possible. Find us at sillybsounds.cool or any respectable social media platform. I hope to see you soon, and I hope to do something cool in the near future, so until then, peace out.